There's a certain irony in knowing that when Shakespeare wrote King Lear, most likely in 1606, it too was a time of plague. With theatres regularly shut, he went on to write some of his greatest work. And so it is in 2020 that we also understand what it is to be shut down in strange and challenging times. With our theatre dark and our programmes cancelled, Mill Productions seeks to engage with you in a different way. We move online and look at how we take scenes from page to stage. Filmed over 5 parts at the DLR Mill Theatre Dundrum, we look at key scenes from the play focusing on analysis, rehearsal, and performance. For not to do something would feel wrong. As Lear himself says, nothing will come of nothing. So in this time of COVID-19, we welcome you to the King Lear Project. In Act 1, Scene 1, the division of a kingdom and the banishment of both a favourite daughter and a trusted friend sends Lear on a descent into madness. The scene poses many questions, and here director Jeff O'Keefe and actors Michael James Ford playing Lear, Niamh McAllister playing Cordelia, and Matthew O'Brien as Kent discuss what's at stake and how the characters establish themselves.
I'm curious about why he chooses to do this. What's the reasoning behind it? Why does he need an audience for it to happen? And it feels like that he wants affirmation. It feels like he is insecure. But why does he do it the way he does? Why does he choose to make them play a game? What's his thinking behind that?
Has he become addicted to flattery? He's losing his judgment, clearly. Even this decision to divide the kingdom up, where's that come? We never know where that's come from. Yeah. But the burdens of kingship are now too much. He wants to unburden, crawl towards death. But he's confused his role as king and as father. Okay. And he's confused the values that pertain to each. But in his colossal vanity and ego, he wants this big declaration. So he's combining, trying to show what a great father he is and how adored he is and what a great leader he is would be reflected in that. And so, he does it through this bizarre love game. Who loves me most, gets most. And it's possibly a sign, it's clearly a sign that his mind is not what it was.
If Lear plays a love game, how does Cordelia play by its rules?
Cordelia is seen as this symbol of goodness, this beacon of morality within the play. And how do you, as an actor, play that? How do you, how do you get to the truth of who Cordelia is?
Yeah, you're right. You can't just play goodness. And of course, in Lear's eyes, she's anything but good in this moment. So I think that was the trouble for me with Cordelia at the start, is like, who is this person that's so righteous and Christ-like? And it's just to go into her motivation for why she decides to go against the grain here and say, I'm not going to play this love game. I think she's rejecting everything that Michael's just said about what Lear is becoming right now. And, she's trying to say that when you love someone, there are no conditions. I don't need you to give me land for me to know that you love me. I don't need a reward for love. Love's unconditional. So that's why she's putting that out there. And I think the way that she does it, she's so blunt in this, nothing, my lord, nothing. it's almost to contrast to what her sisters have just said.
Yeah.
You know, they've been so flowery with their love, and it just shows how hollow it is, the way she says, I'm not doing that. You know, she's actually quite a strong figure in this scene, and throughout the rest of the play when she, you know, she's going to lead a French army here.
Yeah.
So I think she comes in with this strong kind of, it is a challenge of his authority, and for it to be so public.
But the answer she gives, I mean, because of that honesty and truth, if only Lear could listen, you have begot me, bred me, loved me, I return those duties back as a right fit, obey you, love you, and most honour you. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
But it's only because in the context of the grotesque game, Goneril's begun by saying, I love you more than word can wield the matter. We're like, where do you go from there?
Yeah.
And the two of them have kind of escalated
Yeah.
their expressions, their completely excessive and unrealistic expressions of love. So even on you know, what words could you find anyway?
Yeah.
And it sort of brings it back down to truth. But Lear can't hear that because he thinks you can go further than the other sisters.
I also think as well, this whole arrangement is a spectacle for the benefit not just of your ego, but also the declaration to everyone in the room and potential suitors as well, that, you know, I still hold power, that we then find out in the play, you know, slowly dissipates. But everything has to be quantifiable. So love is not something that you can go, I have X amount of love.
Yeah.
But in this instance, if Cordelia would only play this game, then you can quantify it and go about the rest of your retirement, let's just say. And then that's denied you. And then, of course, we get the rest of the play. But it's a very public ordeal for the benefit of yourself and then the future of the kingdom potentially going forward, you know, and in a quantifiable way as well.
Words matter. How they are communicated to us can hold so much meaning.
I'm curious about the use of language and how language can be understood but also misunderstood. And it feels to me that that word nothing and the sense of nothingness being so integral to the play, people being reduced to nothing and everything being stripped away from something that's powerful and real to just matter. I suppose for you, Niamh, in terms of that nothing, it can set the tone, you know, the way it's delivered. And I feel that in her saying nothing, she's offering a sense of truth. She's offering a sense that there is literally nothing else that I can say. I love you so much. But he chooses to understand it in a different way. You know, he chooses to see it as a rebuke or a slap in the face. And Michael, from that, I wonder, why does he go from this man who is enjoying this flattery, this public affirmation from his daughters, and he's reveling in it, I feel. Why does he go from that to someone who is furiously angry? Why does he go to being someone who gets rid of or banishes his daughter? Where does that come from? How does that journey take place for him, do you think?
Well, it's deluded, it's the humiliation he perceives in his deluded state. Like there's just been too much flattery in his life. He's one of those, you know, leaders, we're told, formerly strong, wise, just leader who's become drunk on power, if nothing else. And he's become so thin-skinned if people don't all profess their adoration. And he just spins off. And I think he sees it as a way to save the day, to re-establish his power, to make a great show, even his most loved daughter.
Especially his most loved daughter. Like, that's why it's such a betrayal.
Yeah,
that he feels
in his mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I don't think she was expecting that reaction at all. I don't think he was expecting that reaction. So they both really surprised each other in this moment.
How do you find the truth of Lear as he begins a journey into madness?
His journey is one that's associated with madness, you know, that he descends into madness. And in the same way that, you know, the actor playing Cordelia can't play the beacon of hope, you can't play a mad either. Like, what is madness? So as an actor, like, you know, what's your feelings on how do you establish, you know, a sense of character through, you know, with that in mind, that there might be something deficient there, you know? So what do you do as part of the process then?
Well, I think he has to believe in what he's doing at any given point. He has to be totally convinced that what he's doing is right, as in this scene. And you know, it's the reactions of other people, sort of almost telling the audience how out of kilter with the world he is.
I always find that interesting that people try and go, what is it that he has? I don't think he has anything per se. And maybe the age of the man in the play, you could go, okay, maybe it is dementia, but I think it's a lot more profound. It is something that you can't put your finger on, and that is the nature of.
Yeah, but he has hallucinations. You know, he sees things. You know, he talks to like both human and animals. You know, so he has, if you want, like visions. You know, he has episodes. So something.
I know what you mean.
Something has happened. You know, he says to the fool, "Let me not go mad." I think there's some sort of self-awareness that things are not right for him. You know, and maybe they explain why he behaves so irrationally. You know, why he dismisses Cordelia, why he curses Goneril. You know, why don't we get to see this great king that Kent speaks about? And I think that's really important, no matter what he does, that we feel something for him, that he moves us in some way, that his journey has brought him to a place where we look at him and say, yeah, there's a man who's changed, you know.
I think you're right, and as well, if you want to see what Lear was like before the play, you look no further than Kent and Cordelia, and as well the fool in a way. Which represents the chaos of it all too. But I simply put, I don't think Lear would produce as fine a daughter in terms of her outlook on life as Cordelia if he was this tyrant that he is sometimes painted as, or produce the same loyalty in Kent, if he was this person. They're versions of him externally. Do you know what I mean? With him all the way through this madness to the very end.
While the company must engage in table work to establish a common ground in their understanding of the characters and the situations that they find themselves in, it's often on the rehearsal room floor that the richest discoveries are made. The director and cast examine how the delivery of a single word can hold so much meaning, as we see here.
What can you say to draw a third more opulent than your sisters? Speak.
Nothing, my lord.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing will come of nothing.
And now, an alternative is explored.
What can you say to draw a third more opulent than your sisters? Speak.
Nothing, my lord.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing will come of nothing. Speak again.
Thank you. So the use of pause changes things completely.
Yeah.
What effect are we getting in the two versions?
I think both times in Cordelia's head, she's going to challenge him. You know, she's had this big lead up with her sister. She's listening. What am I going to say? She is going to challenge him. She knows that. But I think the pause is how she's going to challenge him. You know, when I did it the first time there, it felt very. It was aggressive. and kind of rebuting the whole situation. Whereas with the pause, it felt more suited to Cordelia's character because she's considerate and she's considering, how am I going to say this? You know, there's no words I can say, and nothing just kind of spills out.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
so.
And Michael, does Lear receive it differently then? Is there a difference for how it impacts him? That nothing.
Well, I think the pause gives him more of an opportunity to think. She's struggling to find
Yeah.
the thing to say.
Yeah.
So he's more forgiving. He's letting her have another go. Whereas when it comes in straight away, it does seem like a harsher,
Yeah.
like premeditated, and more challenging, more confrontational.
And again, we look at how the energy and pace of the delivery resonates with the actors and helps them to make choices about their characters.
Now our joy, although alas, not least, in whose young love the vines of France and milk of Burgundy strive to be interest. What can you say to draw a third more opulent than your sisters? Speak.
Nothing, my lord.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing will come of nothing. Speak again.
Thank you. And there, that delivery totally changed, didn't it?
Yeah, it just kind of, the word just fell out of her as if it's the only word possible to sum up what she means in this moment.
And in that version, what does that version, what would it tell us about the character there, do you think?
I think she feels a lot younger in that version.
With questions asked and answered, analysis complete, and discoveries made on the rehearsal room floor, the company throws all this groundwork into the mix and adds the special ingredients that make the scene come to life. The performers play their actors' needs, they play the truth of the scene, and they spark off each other.
Now, our joy, although our last, not least, in whose young love the vines of France and milk of Burgundy strive to be interest. What can you say to draw a third more opulent than your sisters? Speak.
Nothing, my lord.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing will come of nothing. Speak again.
Unhappy that I am, I cannot heave my heart into my mouth. I love your majesty according to my bond, no more nor less.
How, Cordelia? Mend your speech a little, lest it may mar your fortunes.
Good my lord, you have begot me, bred me, loved me. I return those duties back as our right fit. Obey you, love you, and most honour you. Why have my sisters husbands if they say they love you all? Haply when I shall wed, that lord whose hand must take my plight shall carry half my love with him, half my care and duty. Sure, I shall never marry like my sisters to love my father all.
But goes thy heart with this?
Aye, good my lord.
So young and so untender.
So young, my lord, and true.
Let it be so. Thy truth then be thy dower. For by the sacred radiance of the sun, the mystery of Hecate and the night, by all the operations of the orbs from which we do exist and cease to be, I here disclaim all my paternal care, propinquity, and property of blood. And as a stranger from my heart and me, hold thee from this forever.
Good, my liege.
Peace, Kent, come not between the dragon and his wrath. I loved her most, and sought to set my rest on her kind nursery. Hence, and avoid my sight.
Royal Lear.
The bow is bent and drawn. Make from the shaft
Let it fall, rather. Though the fork invade the region of my heart, be Kent unmannerly when Lear is mad.
While Lear has set in motion a series of events that will chart his journey into madness, join us in part 2 of the King Lear project, when the company examines how Edmund, the illegitimate son of Gloucester, draws us into his confidence in one of the very few soliloquies in the play.